Good morning, this is Sage live from the 𝐊𝐴𝐴 studios and you're watching the Early Trades Show. And today we'll share with you a glimpse of the Australian share market's opening trade scenario along with the global and domestic drivers triggering the market's momentum. In our first segment today, we'll look at how the early morning trades panned out, taking cues from Wall Street's action overnight. Then in the second segment, we'll look at the prominent newsmakers grabbing the headlines during the early trading hours. And this will bring us to the third and final segment of the show, where we'll discuss the movement seen in cryptocurrencies, crude oil, gold and metals indices. And the Australian share market opened lower on Monday, dropping 1.08%, as trends on ASX futures indicate a negative opening for the ASX 200. The market is set to follow weak cues from Wall Street, which ended sharply lower in a broad sell-off on Friday. 10 of the 11 sectors are lower today, along with the S&P ASX 200 index. Utilities is the best performing sector, gaining 2.06%. The persistent worries over corporate tax hikes in the US continued, as well as a rise in COVID-19 cases, and possible shifts in the Federal Reserve's timeline for bond tapering will keep investors on edge. The outcome of Federal Open Market Committee meeting, slated to be held from tomorrow, will set the tone for the market this week. The top gainers of the day on the ASX during the opening trade were AusNet Services, GUD Holdings, Ingenia Communities Group, Cleanaway Waste Management, National Storage REIT as well. Whereas the bottom performing stocks were Champion Iron, Atlas Arteria, Nickel Mines, BlueScope Steel and Orocobre. Last Friday, the Aussie market ended lower as a slump in iron ore prices hammered the share price of blue chip miners such as BHP, Rio Tinto and Fortescue. And meanwhile, the ASX 200 fell 0.76%, led by a sharp sell-off in materials and energy stocks. 6 of the 11 sectoral indices ended in the negative terrain, while the materials sector witnessed a sharp loss of 4.3%. Among others, energy, utilities, financials, consumer staples and A-REITs also saw a surge in the selling activity. Backing the trend, information technology was the biggest gainer, followed by healthcare, consumer discretionary and industrial sectors, among others. On Friday, the US stocks closed in the red, led by a sharp fall in technology shares amid the tax hike fears. The S&P 500 dropped 0.91%, while the Dow Jones tumbled 0.48%. The Nasdaq Composite closed 0.91% lower as well. And investors will keep an eye on the highly anticipated US Federal Reserve Bank's meeting this week. The central bank officials will announce a monetary policy statement on Wednesday, which will give more clarity as to when the central bank will start tapering its $120 billion in monthly bond buying program. The market experts expect the scaling back of the economic stimulus to begin in November or December. And moving on now to the second segment of the show, let's quickly look at the prominent ASX shares during the early trades. And the first company on our list today is real estate investment company Charter Hall Group Whale REIT, which along with the Charter Hall Managed Trust has agreed to acquire a 50% stake in ALE Property Group through a consortium. The acquisition deal is expected to be executed in mid-December 2021. And the share price of Charter Hall traded lower during the opening trade at $5.26 Australian. Also making the news, Australian energy company AusNet Services has received a takeover bid from Brookfield Asset Management at $2.50 Australian per share, valuing the company at 9.6 billion Australian dollars, and will be reduced to the extent of any dividend being declared to the shareholders before the deal. The share price of AusNet Services traded higher during the opening trade at $2.34 Australian. And moving on, infrastructure company Transurban Group confirms that the Sydney Transport Partners has acquired the remaining 49% stake in WestConnex for a total of 11.1 billion Australian dollars from the New South Wales government. The share price of Transurban Group traded flat during the opening trade at $14.18 Australian. And next up is media company HT&E Soprano has terminated negotiation talks with Link Mobility Group Holdings over a sale. HT&E holds around a 25% stake in Soprano. Earlier in May 2021, shareholders of Soprano agreed to sell 100% of their shares to Link. The share price of HT&E traded lower during the opening trade at $1.98 Australian. And lastly, energy producer 𝐊𝐴 Energy reported its operating netback of 2.8 million Australian dollars for August 2021, an increase of 9% over the previous month. The average sales volume for August 2021 increased 202 barrels of oil equivalent per day, up to 3,493 barrels of oil equivalent per day. The share price of 𝐊𝐴 Energy traded lower during the opening trade at $6 Australian 82 cents. And we've made it to the third and final segment of the show. Let's now discuss the movement seen in cryptocurrencies, bond yields, crude oil, gold and the metals indices. And shares of mining stocks will be in focus as analysts at UBS predicted that iron ore price will fall further below $100 a tonne by the end of 2021 and to average at $89 in 2022. The price of iron ore per tonne has halved since May this year. The price of iron ore slumped nearly 22% last week as the Chinese government curbed steel production to slow its steel-intensive economy. Energy stocks such as Woodside Petroleum were trading flat during the early trade, while Santos edged lower during the early trade on Monday. The rise in the bond yields will also impact stock movement as it will raise the cost of capital for companies, which may affect their stock valuations. The bond yield on the 10-year US Treasuries to 1.36% on Friday, its highest since mid-July. ASX-listed gold stocks such as Northern Star Resources were seen in the red during the early trade, while Newcrest Mining was also trading lower during the opening trade on Monday. And thanks for joining us on that report. That's all for now in the early morning trades. And do stay tuned with 𝐊𝐴 TV as we have many more shows lined up for you, sharing all the live updates across the economy, markets and sectors. This is Sage signing off.